Did Labour just get tough on immigration? Or is it all just smoke and mirrors? Or is it too little, too late? Welcome back, preppers. This one's a political one, so if you're not interested, tune out now. Don't watch it for 20 minutes and leave a snarky comment at the end. It's your choice to stay and watch. But we're talking about the immigration reform that Labour's just announced. Now, contrary to a lot of their backbenchers, this is quite strict in comparison to what we've had. Or is it? Let's break down the points and have a look at what they're doing and what I think they're actually going to do. Do me a favour, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really does help. It costs you absolutely nothing, and I really do appreciate it. So, temporary refugee status. That's a thing. They're going to reduce that down, so it's going to be no one's going to have the permanent right to stay here. It's always going to be temporary, which is a good thing. Now, that's subject to review every 30 months. So that's 2.5 years they can claim refugee status and potentially get that renewed each time, depending on what state their country's in, whether they can go back, things like this. Now, I think this is a good point. This is modelled on the Danish system, and it's a good deterrent, I think, to know that they don't think they're not going to come here and have the legal right just to stay, and that's it, end of. Now, they say they're going to be tougher on failed asylum seekers, which means removing people without legal status to be here, including families of those who have failed the asylum process. And there'll be a consultation on how they enforce that removal. Now, I don't think Labour's going to suddenly start the UK version of ICE and doing ICE raids. So I think this is one of those statements that is, we're going to be tough on crime. We're going to smash the gangs. It's all talk, that bit. I just don't, till I see something, till I see a physical plan, till I see a new department, till I see a new branch of the police force, something like that, or they're going to use the reserves or the military or anything. I just think that is just bluster. Now, a longer wait for settlement is next. Now, the stupid thing, this is ridiculous. So, people who have arrived UK illegally may have to wait 20 years before they can apply for permanent settlement or indefinite leave to remain. Now, this is a massive increase from the previous period, which was 5 years. So it seems like a positive step. But if they can claim the asylum every 30 months based on the fact that they're trying to get to this 20-year mark, then pretty much they're here permanently, right? It's just a case of filling a form out every 2.5 years. So it's how strict are you going to be on the stipulations for them to stay here? If a regime that they fled is overthrown, and democracy has appeared, do they have to go straight back? Or can they still stay for them 30 months and hope something else kicks off? And with this, they are revoking the legal duty to support asylum seekers, which was a ridiculous concept in the first place. An absolutely ridiculous concept. That means anybody who came across legally, as soon as they said the words asylum, we had a legal responsibility to look after them. So they're revoking that. So even if that doesn't stop the immediate what's going on right now, that should deter a lot of people. So I see that one as a positive. Asset seizure. Again, this is another bluster one. This is another smash the gangs phrase. Tough on crime. Basically saying that they're going to seize any assets that asylum seekers come over with, over a certain value, I assume, to help pay for their accommodation. Most of them don't come with anything. Why come with anything when you're getting everything given to you when you get here? Or they've sold everything to pay for the boat passage. There's nothing. They're going to have a phone. And I'm sure some lawyer or some human rights activist will say, oh, you can't seize their brand new iPhone because it's a human right to have an iPhone. I have no doubt. So I think this one's ridiculous. It also excludes wedding rings. So if you've got a really good piece of jewellery, you could just stick it on the right finger and say, it's my wedding ring. And they can't take it. Stopping the right to a family life claims. So this is plans to introduce legislation to restrict how courts apply European Convention on Human Rights regarding family life, which is Article 8, prioritising public safety and limiting the definition of family connection to immediate family, so just parents and kids, basically. Now, this isn't something they can do. They're still following the ECHR, the European Convention for Human Rights. And they're going to try and push back and try and reform this. That process can take years, decades, if at all, if they would change at all. Chances are the European Convention for Human Rights are just going to go, no. So I think that is pie in the sky. So they're going to streamline the appeal system. So they're going to reform the appeal system, making it a one-step process kind of thing. Everything on one form, you could appeal and it's either rubber stamped yes or no. Great. Excellent. I'm all for that. Maybe it'll speed up the way that we deal with our current issues. Never mind more coming in. And new safe routes. So basically saying that we're going to let X amount of people in, so make sure you come through the correct way, blah, blah, blah. There's always been safe routes. They don't want to go through that way. The same way they lose their passports and we don't know their identity. There's a reason they're taking the illegal routes when there is safe routes. So even if you streamline the system, there's going to be people that don't want you to do a background check, don't want you to know what they've done, don't want you to know what organisations they're tied with, that are still going to come through the illegal routes. Again, this is another fluff padding piece to this. So the legal side of this, legal migration and skills, there's going to be a longer path to settlement. So the standard qualifying period for indefinite leave to remain, or settlement as it were, will be increased from 5 years to 10 years. I don't see this as being the issue. This is not the issue that the British people are bothered about. If they've come here legally, and they're working or they're doing something here, productive, being part of society, embracing the culture, I don't mind if it's 5 years. That's fine. If you've proved what you're offering in that time. There's going to be changes to the skilled worker visas. There's going to be a higher salary threshold. So they'll have to earn higher than £41,700 per year. So more tax for the government, or the going rate in their occupation. It's whichever is higher, I'm guessing. So the minimum should be 41,700, which is interesting because skilled workers, often, I know a lot of skilled workers that don't get that much pay. If you're starting out in nursing or you're a midwife or anything like that, to me, that's a skilled trade. That's something we might have a shortage of at some point, so we want to bring some in. Are you then going to pay the people you bring in 41,700 to get them through the door and still underpay the rest of our nurses? I don't know. It's a weird one, that one. I'm not sure about that. Reducing eligible jobs for skilled worker visa sponsorship. Yes, 100% behind that. Now, we should only be looking for skilled workers if we have a shortage. If there's a shortage of bricklayers in the United Kingdom and things that need to be built and not getting built, fine, bang, that goes on the visa list for a short period till we fill the quota. It shouldn't just be, here's a range of jobs that you can come here and do. It should be only things we're short of, because you know what? First and foremost, we should be doing apprenticeships, training programs, fast-tracking people out of unemployment that are already in this country into them skilled positions. They may have made really poor life choices up to the age of 30-year-old. And now you're telling them they're too old for college, they're too old for an apprenticeship, they're too old for this. Give them a route to market. Give them an option other than minimum wage job behind a checkout. That's how you solve that issue. And then, yeah, we could open the visas up if there's still a shortage after that. Student visa and graduate route restrictions. Again, not too fussed on this when it comes to the time period. I was worked with a good friend who came over here from the States as a student and then stayed afterwards. But they're talking about reducing that from 2 years down to 18 months for most graduates. And what I do agree with a part of this is stricter English language rules. You have to have a grasp, a concept. You can't claim you're coming over to an English education system to learn, and that's your reason for entering the country when you don't know the language. I'm not going to go to Russia and expect them to teach me something in English. It's just as simple as that. It's not any sort of discrimination. You want to go to an English education system. You want to go into our universities. One of our best exports is intelligent people, genuinely. And you want to come in and make the most of that. You have to learn the language. You have to know the language to read the material. We can't translate every single course into 57 different languages. So, I mean, that's the general gist of what they're saying. Now, what this is not covering in any detail, really, what the people want to know is what's going to happen with the people right now that are either in hotels, in temporary accommodation, or are already out there working for food delivery companies and stuff like that and living wherever they're living, and you've lost track of them. What's going to happen with them? Do we need a more advanced, more aggressive, for a want of a better word, immigration force? I mean, if you start something like ICE in this country, now I know you lefties will cry because they've got a bad reputation amongst lefties because basically they're not. But the point of it is, that's going to generate a lot of jobs. I bet you there is a lot of patriotic people out there that would go for that job. And you would fill the quota for ICE agents, for a want of a better name, in the UK, but you would fill the quota for them in the UK in no time at all. You might even get a volunteer force like you have the police constables on top of the regular police force, just for extra manpower if you needed it. Either way, or utilise the military, of course. But either way, I really do think we need something like that. At the moment, it's left down to the police, and the police protect them because there's angry mothers with prams waving flags outside who are very dangerous to these immigrants. So the police have to line up to protect them, facing the angry mothers with flags, not facing the immigrants, just facing out because it's obvious who they're there to protect. Now, don't get me wrong, all of this is a step in the right direction. And some of these policies, if these had been on the Reform or the Advanced UK sheet as they were going for election, I'd be like, yeah, I can get behind that. Yeah, look, at least they're doing something. So this could be a last-ditch attempt to win over the British public, or, you know, at least calm the volatile situation in this country from the Labour Party. But I think the proof will be in the pudding, especially stuff that we have to go to Europe for to try and change their systems. Why not just drop the European Convention for Human Rights? Now, don't get me twisted. Human rights is a good thing. I'm not saying let's drop human rights. I'm saying we can do this ourselves. We can manage this ourselves. The only reason Brexit wasn't a success in this country is because useless people were negotiating it and coming up with things. And we were half in, half out, 1 foot in, just take this, use that, don't do this, do that. It just wasn't done right. We should have ripped the Band-Aid off and controlled and governed everything that we do in this country. That's where they should have re-implemented a modern version of the English Bill of Rights at that point. But unfortunately, the powers that be, whether that's the Conservatives that are in, when Labour comes in, they're never quite far enough to one side to really make a change, to really make a difference. Nobody wants to go too far left or right of centre. They don't want to rock the boat. They get paid too much as MPs. Why would you want to mess that up? Let's just have a cushy ride for 4 years, do whatever we want, then it's somebody else's mess to deal with. Because they know full well they're not going to get a second term. No government in this country is going to get a second term the way the economy is. Because the people don't know how it works. They want to blame whoever's in power. So the Conservatives, £22 billion black hole, the economy's terrible. So now Labour's in, and Labour's blaming Conservative previously. So yeah, it's all their fault. We're just recovering. It's all their fault. End of that term, the Conservatives will blame Labour for everything, and they'll potentially get in unless we can unite as a country behind one of these parties, like Reform, like Advanced. We can't split that vote, though. You've got 3 or 4 parties popping up that know how to fix the country, and we can't split that vote, because when we do, we're going to push one of the big 2 back into power, or even a resurgence of the Lib Dems. Anyway, that's gone on to a bit of a political tangent and rant. The point is, at least they're doing something, but for me, it's definitely not enough, and it's potentially too little, too late. We need more drastic, more radical action. We need to implement an ICE kind of agency in this country and get this sorted out. And not something that we can negotiate for 4 or 5 years with the European courts over. No, this needs doing within the next 6 months before this country reaches breaking point and the people reach their tipping point. Look forward to your comments in this one, guys, and I will see you in another video really soon.